Hello all, and welcome to Tuesday Q&A. I am your host, Roland. With me, our expert, Ursinity. Ursinity, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, kind Sir Roland?
Nobody's ever really said that to me. I'm doing pretty good. I'm not sick like you. I can still hear a little bit of it in the back of your throat. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm on the mend, but I'm the type that, I never get really sick, but I get, sinus infections and stuff really easily, so I just have this, lingering annoyance where I'm coughing and losing my voice, but I feel more or less fine, so I'm on the mend, as they say.
Is that going to impede your ability to give high-level analysis on the questions we're going to be answering today?
No, I mean, it may impede my ability to talk for a length of time at once without, muting myself, but that's, something I've dealt with for the last week and a half of podcasting, so I think we'll persevere. I think we'll manage.
I think we will, too. So today, we're doing something a little bit different with Tuesday Q&A. Instead of just reading an email question, we're actually going to be taking live questions from people, actual people within the DotP community, and maybe not within the DotP community. They're going to be wide arrays of MMR with a bunch of different questions. We're going to be hearing from them, answering their questions, and hopefully providing some educational content and letting them use their voice. How do you feel about this new format?
It's exciting. It's interesting. It's different. We shall see. I'm always looking forward to new things.
I mean, you are 5,000 MMR, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Just barely, but
yeah.
I am, technically speaking, 5,013 MMR.
So
I have the screenshots, I have the receipts.
Nice. You have the receipts from the boosters? Is that what you're getting at?
No, that's the thing people say, Roland. You're now that you're a dad, you're so behind on the phrases. You got to say, don't at me, or you got the receipt.
Oh, okay. Okay. Don't at me, and you got the receipt. All right. Well, you did a decent climbing with Rubik, right?
Well, I climbed with a lot of things.
But Rubik, you did climb with, right?
Old arguments.
You did climb with.
Oh yeah, he was one of my go-tos.
So you stole your way to 5,000 MMR.
Yeah, I mean, I steal my way to a lot of things.
Well, can we say that you stole your way to 5,000 MMR? I
stole my way at least part way to 5,000 MMR.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, it's now immortalized. It's on the show. I'm glad he said it. Honestly, I don't really know where to go with that. I mean, other than the
I'm
obvious.
Sure that soundbite's gonna hurt me.
That soundbite hopefully will hurt you, and I got you to say it. Okay, so today we'll go ahead and get started, Ursi. Our first question is coming from Tulikard. His MMR is 1551, and his question is, what hotkeys are you recommending for camera control? Tulik, what's your question?
Listening to your recalibration saga, and watching a few programs in this latest patch here, I was curious as to what your recommended hotkeys would be with regards to camera controls for better map vision and fight vision, as opposed to edge pan.
Okay, so this question you're directing at me, Tulik? Because you mentioned my saga? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and defer this question to the expert because, honestly, I got all my advice from this expert, whatever his name is. Ursi, I watched your video on camera control. Can you give a summary on what is the best way to do this?
All right, so camera control, I think there are some generally accepted things that everybody does, and then some people use different things. So, for instance, I use edge pan, and then I think the generally accepted things are that you have to have high camera speed. Some people keep it super high. If you watch pro players, a lot of them have 8,000 plus. I keep mine at 3,500 because that's fast enough that I can move around rapidly, but slow enough that I don't move too far. For instance, the other thing is camera deceleration. You want to have that all the way at 50. Alternatively, when I'm casting games, I keep it at 0. Or 5 is the lowest you can go, but you take it all the way down.
You want it to decelerate immediately? Is that what you're getting at? You want your camera to come to a stop immediately?
Yeah, you don't want it slowly getting to where you want to go, right? You want it to be where you want to go right when you click it. So the other thing, okay,
go ahead. I mean, you're gonna drone on anyway. Go ahead.
The other thing that I do that I know some people use keys to like move their camera left, right, center, etc. I mostly just use edge pan, and I use a camera grip. So like my middle mouse key, you can use other hotkeys, whatever. But my middle mouse key, when I press it in, it centers the camera, and then I can like jiggle it basically over that. The other big thing is that I use my mini map to click a lot. So now with the Dota 3 mini map, you can actually scale the size. So everybody should have it at the largest size it can possibly go to.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to have it small. Why in the hell would you have that mini map small? That's where you're gathering like 85% of your information, maybe more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not a 5K player. I didn't steal my way to 5K, but just humble opinion.
We can't all get to 5K, but you could try. Yeah, I mean, I definitely completely agree. You should always have it at the highest, and I just click around it constantly. I know one of the big things that people do that honestly I don't do, which I probably should but just have not done, is you can actually key hotkeys to specific points of the map. So, like, common ones obviously would be rune spots. If you go... God, now I wish I had put it a little more... It's in hotkeys.
Tulik is 1551 MMR. Do we really think we should go that far with that?
It's the thing about Dota, right? It's all about building good habits early on, so that you have them well established and you don't have to think about them later. So this is something that I realized I should have done like a year or two ago, but I'd already been playing for so long without doing that I have I just haven't trained myself to do it. Okay. I have so many hotkeys for other things.
Do you think this is an issue for a 1551 player? Do you think he should be worrying about a camera more so than other things?
Yes.
So camera first?
Cameras is one of the biggest things that when I watch people stream that are lower MMR, or I coach people or anything like that, people are really bad at using their camera. That's why I made that camera control video, whatever it was, a year and a half ago. And those things still apply. It's one of those things that people don't think about. It's just what they're comfortable with, and sometimes it's really inefficient. That was always one of my biggest problems watching you play, was your camera control was god awful.
Well, I was looking, so my hero was always at the bottom of the screen, and I couldn't see what was coming at me. So my hero was at the bottom of my screen, and up at the very top was just useless information. So basically gathering, from what I understand, getting as much information on your screen as possible while still having your hero on your screen is the way to go.
Yeah, or at least being cognizant of where your hero is. Obviously, this situationally, sometimes you don't need your hero on your screen, other times you do. And if you don't have game sounds on, then you definitely need your hero on your screen. That's something that, if I'm listening to music and playing Dota, for instance, which I only do in unranked, I will pay more attention to my hero because I won't hear auditory cues if I'm getting attacked or something.
For sure. I'm gonna ask Tulik another question. I'm gonna ask him a follow-up question.
Sure.
Tulik, what heroes do you play? What are you playing?
Whatever somebody tells me to play. If they don't, I sometimes random. Monkey King Radiance Jungle. That's my latest.
Monkey King Radiance Jungle. Is that a level 1 jungle Iron Talon Tango?
You could definitely...
Two sets of Tango, the Iron Talon I'm built into.
So you do 2 sets of Tango, a Quell, and no Stout?
No Stout.
No Stout? Ursi, what do you have to say about no Stout?
Oh, God.
I mean, this certainly sounds like he's a listener of the show, of the Monday show specifically. I've seen, actually, there was a great video of this that I assume Tulik watched and learned from, that of a guy doing a jungle where basically you leap to certain trees with a quelling blade, and then you leap into choke points where they can't hit you, but you can hit them.
I think they fixed it.
Because that stupid, god-awful hero has 300 range.
I think they fixed that. I think they fixed that. I'm pretty sure.
I hope so.
I tried to do
more
it.
Things, Monkey King.
Being the Jungle King and the Monkey King Jungle King, I tried to find those spots where you could get behind a tree, still on low ground, but have vision of the enemy. Tulik, are you able to do that cheesy trick where you get behind a tree and attack?
Kind of.
That's fine. 50, hey, no, there should be no shame on this show, Tulik, and I'm sensing shame. There's no shame in jungling. There's no shame in starting out with there is shame without starting with a Stout Shield, because then you wouldn't need 2 Tango. You need, I think.
I mean, but if you can,
right? Don't you think
if
Tango
you can kite
Stout
things efficiently?
Tango Stout Quell. Don't you think that's the way to go? Am I wrong?
I mean, admittedly, I know I hate the jungle vehemently. I do not jungle. It's by far my worst position. But the basic idea is still sound. That like if you're not taking damage, you don't need things that protect you from damage. So if you're jungling a hero like Monkey King with 300 range that can like kite around corners, I guess you can excuse like not having a stout, but and
All
just
right.
going offensive.
I need to know,
stuff.
Tulik, how do you build this Radiance? Like, what is your build order stopping at Radiance?
From what I've already listed, I go straight into brown boots.
Okay.
Whatever the hell the creepy thing you just Iron Talon.
Iron Talon.
Talon, yeah.
Okay.
Straight into Radiant. Yep.
So no boots?
Well,
No,
brown
he
boots.
said brown boots.
Oh, brown
But
boots.
then
Okay.
into
So
Radiance.
Iron Talon, brown boots, Relic, Radiance.
That's correct. Yeah.
And you find yourself winning with this?
When he's playing Monkey
Providing-
King.
Providing I'm not pressured, it's not bad. Yeah, because you come out a lot stronger than they expect, and most people still don't really understand how to stop him from coming down on top of them.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you have Radiance Burn from the trees. I could see it being some weird sneaky strat, but also you have the natural advantages of playing Monkey King, which I cannot express enough how dumb and overpowered this hero is.
I couldn't agree
Despite
more.
protests.
Tulik, thank you so much.
No worries, guys. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so wow, if I were to ever get shit about jungling, that's some baloney because Monkey King is garbage. Okay, he's garbage, as you would say, Ursi. But fucking the Radiance, you know where the burn's coming from. One, you can cut
Well,
the tree
more or
down.
less.
I mean,
More or less.
I know that there's a bunch of YouTube videos out there on like jungle Monkey King because he can jump behind trees, like you were saying. He has obscene range, being 300. But that I even disagree with that. Like like that. I understand where you guys are coming from. Like, you know, the throw up in the back of your throat, where it's like ugh. Well, good luck to him. I hope he can climb above that 1551. Okay, so Condor.
Yeah.
But I mean, what else do you have to say about this guy? Because next up, we're gonna talk to Lieutenant Condor.
Okay. Good question. We're not talking to Condor, actually. We're talking to Top Gun.
All right,
because
that's
I've
fine.
asked this
That's
question.
fine.
You
That's
did not
fine.
answer, but I answered, and I called for Top Gun.
Oh,
because he
okay,
is a jungling
okay,
question,
that's fine. That's fine.
which is tangentially tied to this.
Well, finish up with this Monkey King thing. Is it good or garbage?
I mean, his core question was
Was it
important,
about camera
and we
control?
Kinda got yeah, that's important.
Why the hell
jungling
does he
thing
need
is
to know
less
that if he's
important.
jungling Monkey King?
I mean, because you asked him what he was doing, and he told you the meme build. But the core of the actual productive discussion about camera control is important.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, do what works for you, right? That's the crux of it. But like, make your camera fast and make it decelerate quickly. Don't like
What about DPI in your mouse?
putz around. I don't know my DPI. I'm not.
I'm
Pimp Local.
sitting
not
at
gonna tell you all my
3,250.
specifics.
3,250 on your mouse. I mean, that's
My
the
camera
best way.
moves fast enough. That's as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so next up we got Top Gun on Betamax. We met him in Seattle. He's a 2,500 MMR player, and he wants to know what are the new jungling patterns. New Top Gun. What's your question?
Hey, gentlemen. Yeah, jungling pattern. I'm just wondering how to more easily, I guess, or efficiently use the jungle, especially as if you're a carry going in and out of the jungle.
Okay. So first and foremost, Top Gun, we do know that it's every other minute now with
Yep.
jungle camps. We do know that there are 4 bounty runes on the map. Just going through some
Yep.
prelims here.
So
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
yeah, so generally, like the crux of it is you have to. So the previous jungle cycles had to be very specific, right? Because it was respawning every minute. So on these like flash farm heroes like AM, you'd be jumping, from camp to camp to camp to camp to camp, and you'd many times like until very late game, you'd be barely finishing it by the respawn. Whereas now you have more camps, but you have more time in between. So basically, all you want to do is make your rotation such that you come, especially if this is like in laning phase or mid game, you want to leave whatever lane it is, mid lane or safe lane, and then just jungle the closest camp, and then make your way to the bounty rune at the even minute, and then be finishing your rotation at the odd minute, right? Because now your general idea should be I don't need to finish my jungle camps before the minute because they're not going to respawn anyway. Right? I need to finish them before the odd minute.
All right.
So you can take an extra couple waves of lane creeps and then move to jungle camps.
Okay, I've got a question for you then, Ursi, in response to this. So, lately when I've been playing hard carry, I find it not good to rotate to get the bounty. I feel like I'm missing more CS than that bounty's worth. And I'm talking like laning stage, I guess, like 0 to 8, 0 to 10 minutes. Is this something that I want to be rotating to? Or should I just let my supports gobble that up?
Your support should be taking that, right? Because your support should be rotating and moving around. Same thing with if you're mid, like, unless you're really desperate for bottle charges, you should not be getting a bounty rune.
Well, let's clarify with top
But
gun real
in,
quick.
like, the mid-game...
Go ahead. Don't finish your thought, sorry. But in the mid-game.
You should be getting bounty runes in, like, the mid-game if they're accessible, but yeah, in the early game, they should be relegated to supports. But it is just, like, a nice central point for your rotation to land, right?
For sure.
If you, let's say, like, we're going from the respawn at 21 minutes to the respawn at 23 minutes, right? You take like two lane waves, and then at like 21:45 you start your jungle. You take one camp by 22, then you're on your next camp, then you finish that by like 22:10 or whatever. Then you get over to the bounty rune naturally. Then you do another one, then you do another one, then you do another one. Then it's like 2:45, and then your creep should be respawning in 15 seconds. You jungle your way back through.
Are you just saying do another
back
one?
at your lane.
Is that all you're saying here? Is just do another one? I'm confused.
What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. We're gonna check back in with Top Gun. Top Gun, what heroes are you playing?
Well, right now I'm trying to play a lot of Monkey King. I'm not getting it, but I'm trying to.
Okay.
I'm playing. At the moment, I'm also playing Spirit Breaker a lot. The Spirit Breaker and stuff doesn't have anything to do with my question. It's when I get into playing more carry roles.
Okay, what carries do you play?
Silencer in the offlane as a core. Anti-mage. Spectre.
So
Anti-mage is
when
good.
are you trying to? So are you rotating with the Battle Fury into the jungle? Are you finding yourself rotating earlier, or is this like? Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no. This is say laning phase. Should my support be trying to stack the jungle for me, and then I go in there, clear it out a little later, or because I haven't seen a lot of stacking lately.
It's harder.
Yeah.
It's a minute harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an extra layer of complexity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, so I mean, and then after the laning phase, you're still like being more or less static farming, even though the laning phase is over. You're still static farming in the lane. Then you got to jump off into the jungle. So should I be, I guess, pushing the lane up, then going into the jungle, trying to clear that out as soon as
Stealing
possible.
their bounty runes, making sure you're diving tier 1s. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Ursi said, and just keep doing it, I think is what Ursi was also getting at. Is that what you're getting at, Ursi? You just got to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. What were you getting at?
Yeah, I mean, you're the one role for a reason, right? It's just to like take everything for anybody and everybody, including your teammates, right? Like they're unimportant, relatively speaking. So just take stuff. No, but seriously, don't do that. Please, just like farm efficiently, right? I don't want to be monotonely, because I have no other tones while sick. I don't want to monotonely give people bad advice.
All right.
On AM especially, like you want to take your tower pretty early, and then that frees up the lane, so it's going to naturally push back, and you're going to be able to take a ton of creeps at the end of every jungle cycle, because your lane is naturally going to push from the tier 2 down to your tier 1, which takes much longer than if the tower is still there, it pushing from tier 1 to tier 1 to tier 1 to tier 1, right? Like that ping pong is much shorter than like the longer ping pong of T1 to T2. So AM has some added complexity. I generally try to take the tower by like right before or right after I have Battle Fury, because once you have Battle Fury, like you start taking the tower, blink forward, cut the creep wave so that your creeps continue to attack the tower, because creeps do more damage to towers.
The new build's Maelstrom, Ursi. We all know this. The new build is, instead of Battle Fury, you get Maelstrom, and you have a 37% win rate. All right.
All right. So I need to.
Do you need to go on this
Maelstrom
one?
is Maelstrom. I'm gonna not say Mjolnir / Maelstrom is core on AM now, but it is godly. I played a game of it. I'm so into it. That build that you were talking about on the Monday show is a Dendy build that clearly somebody was doing without understanding the intention. But that's a build that lets you fight. You go like Treads, Maelstrom, Manta, and then whatever else. But usually you skip Battle Fury with it. But Mjolnir, like 6th item, is so good. Honestly, it's amazing. I'm so into it.
Well, you heard it from Mercy. He's so into it. Hey, Betamax, thank you so much for coming on and asking a question.
Yeah, no problem, Ice. Thanks for answering.
All right, Ursi. So this rotation thing, do you feel like it's less or more important now? I mean, obviously, I feel like I want to say less important, but is it? I mean, there's more jungle. Should I be carrying a TP on Anti-Mage and farming the jungle A and then TPing to my shrine and farming jungle B? How do I want to be rotating into the jungle? I mean, I know you just said from one camp to one camp to one camp to one camp, but is time really that important, or should I be more worried with just like running over things?
So the real core that you have to think about now is that now that they're spawning less frequently, each spawn is that much more value, right? Because in the previous jungle, it's like, okay, they're gonna spawn every minute, so I'm gonna take what I want, but they're pretty much always gonna be there if I don't get them. Whereas now, if they're spawning every odd minute, that means that while there are more camps, the camps matter that much more because they're only going to respawn every so often.
And you don't want to block it for 2 minutes.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to block it.
Yeah.
But the goal should just be that all your camps should be respawning every 2 minutes, right? You shouldn't have camps that have creeps in them that are not spawning or not stacking. Like, that's just wasteful. So you're more punished for not taking camps than you were before.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, so our next is Lieutenant Condor. This is somebody that I actually watch a ton of his games. He's 1361 MMR, and he has a question about drafting. Lieutenant, what's your question?
Good evening. I guess my question is based from watching the Boston Major. Listening to the panel on the Boston Major during the drafting stage, they would say they would like to see the team pick an agi carry, or you could put strength or int in there. So from the drafting, how do you recognize what you need? That you need agi or strength or int incorporated into your draft?
Okay. So basically the question, is it important to know to get an agi, to get a strength, to get an int? Proud and I have talked about this a little bit. Ursi, I'd love to hear your opinion on this, obviously.
It's very important drafting wise, especially. So we have to think about like what the advantages of. I'm going to talk about carries specifically now, but there are key differences between having a strength carry and an agility carry and an int carry, which are uncommon, but you have heroes like Silencer that can occasionally be run, or like OD, but OD is more of a mid. Generally, your strength carries are going to be less armor based and less stat heavy than your agility carries, right? Your strength carries tend to be the ones that are building like a Sven or a Lifestealer, that they have a lot of strength and they have a lot of health, so they'll build very offensive items. So like illusions of them, for instance, are less valuable, right? So if you're picking a Shadow Demon draft, you want to have a stat heavy carry, which in general trends to be these agility carries. Vice versa, if the enemy team has a Morphling, let's say, you want to have a carry that is not going to be made that you want to have a carry that's not going to just have an illusion be made of him that's going to demolish your team, right? And illusions are based off of stats, not off of plus damage items. So in general, like the stat itself, like strength, agi, or int, is not super important, but in niche circumstances, or I shouldn't say that. There are cores in each category that have the same weaknesses, but in general, your stat-heavy carries are usually agi heroes, and then your like plus damage utility carries tend to be strength.
Okay.
So that's something to consider.
That's interesting. So Proud usually hates the question of, should I pick a strength hero? Should I pick an agi hero? Should I pick an int hero? Because really he thinks that those are, I mean, you kind of find similar things in all of the brackets, right? Not always, like you said. Like there are, in agi, you're going to find most of your hard carries. In int, you're probably going to find most of your supports. In strength, you're going to find most of your, whatever you call those. You know what I mean? What are your strength
Don't
heroes
call them
called?
tanks.
I wasn't going to
That's
call them. I was about
God,
to call them tanks, and I was like,
people say that all the time. Oh my god.
What would you consider a
you're
strength?
Getting to a good point.
Like in strength, I guess you have like a mixture of like supports, carries, and fours. I see a lot of like there's some fours in strength. There's IO in strength, for God's sake. You know, I don't know.
I mean, there are outliers in each one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the core is Proud's very right. Like, there's no resolute like, okay, all strength heroes are X, all agi heroes are Y, and all int heroes are Z, right? It's not that resolute in each one, but there are general themes that are consistent through each one, right? Your strength heroes tend to be tankier, right? So your supports in strength tend to be fours because fours need to be tankier because they're the types that are going to be aggressive and diving and stuff like that. So that does not necessarily mean that strength supports are always fours. It just means strength as a stat lends itself to 4 more than 5, for instance.
For sure. Okay, well, hey, Condor, I have been watching your Carry Naga games. I've been watching you play Dota. I've been watching you improve. You're really impressive. I love that you're getting into this game. You're doing super well, man, and thanks for coming on and asking a question.
Thanks a lot, guys.
I hope that helped.
It does.
Okay. Yeah, so I definitely do agree with, Proud once again, where I tried to look at the game for a long time as, like melee versus ranged and strength versus int versus agi. And really it just comes down to what you need, and it doesn't really matter what bracket or what classification it's under, right? I mean, Arc Warden is agi.
I mean, the classification... Yeah, the classifications help in, like I said earlier, they have general themes, but they're always outliers, so you don't want to be overly specific, but it is good to know, like, okay, in general, agi carries are the carries that build stats, right? Like, when we look to agi carries, we see AM builds some stats, Slark builds all stats, Drow builds a good amount of stats, Ember Spirit does not do that, but he's still an agi, right? Luna builds tons of stats. Morana, back when she used to be played as a carry, she would build quite a bit of stats. Medusa stats, like, this is a general theme, and although it is not, obviously there are exceptions like PA or like Drow, but it is good to know these kinds of things. And you see themes run through, and although they're not like, you don't want to pigeonhole, right? But it is important to know, like, okay, in general, agi is going to help me do X and Y. Also, agi are going to be generally higher armor. Yeah. Because they are agi based, right? Not strength based, with the exception of Sven, because he has an armor buff.
And the exception of Arc Warden, who doesn't have shit for agi gain, but is an agi hero.
But he has 2 of them, so that's an
advantage. Oh yeah, 2 of him. You just add the armors together, right? And that's exactly how that works.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when he doesn't have his double out, he is double a hero, right?
He's double the armor. Okay, so our next question comes from War Yoshi. He's a 2900 MMR player, and honestly, this is a question that I would love to hear your opinion on, Ursi. Yoshi, what's your question?
Okay, so towards the end of 688, like, let's talk about just the group stage of the Boston Major. You saw a lot of teams choosing to go for the aggro tri-lane, right? And now that we've come down to 7, there have been a couple of posts talking about how off-lane is the new safe lane. How much is that even true?
Okay, that's a really good question. I'm glad you brought that up. So, at the end of 6.88, a lot of the things we saw were, like you said, aggro tri-lanes because people weren't punished as much for getting less XP. Whereas nowadays, we're going to see a lot less safe lane tri-lanes, aggro tri-lanes, etc., and a lot more roaming or duo lanes because you want to spread out that XP more evenly. So now, us having like carries in the off lane, that's really a trend that the meta isn't super defined right now, right? So it's more about where can I get farm from, and people generally are aggressing on safe lanes because that's what they're trained to do, right? Because last patch we'd see like, right, let's pressure safe laners a lot. But now, and so people were trained to do that, and it's like, all right, they're going to pressure our safe lane naturally, so let's put our safe laner, like a Luna especially, we saw at Boston Major, let's put that in the off lane, she'll get farm anyway, and it'll be fine. And then you'll push the tower early, and make a lot of space off the map. So, some of the metagame, we see our vestiges of that, but in general, it's just putting your carry wherever it can get farm. And sometimes that's the off lane, sometimes it's the safe lane, sometimes it's mid. So, right, so it's all about... Yeah,
I've been thinking. So this is why I love this question because this has popped into my head. So when I'm playing safe lane, the bounty rune is a million miles away. But think about Radiant off lane. how close that bounty rune is, how close I have a medium camp, how close my shrine is. Doesn't that kind of make it pretty safe? And it's super defensible. It's a short lane, which means you can get home quicker. I feel like there are a lot of reasons why this would be the new safe lane. Yoshi, to that point, are those some things you were thinking?
Yep, basically that tsunami post on Medium, where he was talking about all the same things that you just brought up.
Okay, the camps being closer, the shrine, the bounty. Okay.
Yeah, the shrine's a big deal. The bounty, I would say, is less of a big deal. It's more of a deal for supports, right? Because if you're a carry, you're naturally getting a ton of XP anyway and a ton of gold. So that bounty means that much less. Like, if you go all the way backwards to get a bounty, like, yeah, you get whatever it is, like 75 gold, 75 XP.
Yeah, so...
But you could get that just as easily with 2 creeps.
I mean, there's a lot to say there. I mean, as far as polling goes, it's more difficult, obviously, in the off lane, opposed to being in the safe lane.
Yeah.
But you have other factors.
And now people pull less.
Now people pull less.
Sorry,
they do pull less. You're absolutely right.
It's just like
it's
the old safe lane metagame was a lot of times predicated on having a safe laner or having a safe lane tri lane, right? And to support a tri lane, you need to pull for XP purposes. But now that the game's moving more to dual lanes, you don't need to pull as much.
Okay.
And so you don't necessarily need to be tied to that safe lane that has the pulls. You could just get it anywhere. Also, you can still pull the off lane.
Okay. Well, Yoshi, thank you so much for your question. That was a great question. I appreciate it. The answer is I agree. I would say that time will tell on the meta, but I wouldn't feel uncomfortable running a Sven or an anti-mage or a Spectre in the what is considered off lane. Thoughts, Ursi?
Yeah. I'm sorry, repeat that?
I would feel comfortable playing Sven or Spectre or anti-mage in the off lane with a support.
I guess so. I mean, it really depends on matchup. But if you have an AM and you can't farm the safe lane, you may as well farm the off lane, right? Like if you're pigeonholed in that situation, that's just how it goes. Like you just have to get farm somewhere, right? And if that's the off lane, you got to go to the off lane, right? I don't think you should plan. If you are running like an off lane thing, and you should assume you're gonna be more contended, so you don't want to pick like a carry that really doesn't want to fight that much, like an AM. Although new AM may want to fight more. I'm not sure. I haven't tested that. Or like a Spectre or like a Naga that's very greedy and can't fight it a lot early and wants to farm a lot. Then you should draft around that accordingly. But in general, I'm interested in it.
Okay, cool. So our next question comes from 20 Inside. This is somebody that I randomly got paired with in a pub. He was streaming, I was streaming. It was fun. He was supporting me as Shadow Shaman. I was playing Spectre back in my Spectre days. We lost, but a little bit of a friendship, brewed up there. He's 2600 MMR, and he has some questions on basically the ultimate questions. 20, hey, how's it going? What's your question?
Oh boy.
Hey, good. I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me on. Long-time listener, first-time caller here. I know you're probably receiving a lot of convoluted questions that beat around the bush, but I want to get straight to the point. My question is kind of a two-parter. In 1 to 3 sentences, how do you win Dota and how do you lose Dota?
All right.
Do you want us both to answer this?
Yeah, I think if you both want to answer it, or one can take the winning and one can take the losing, whatever you guys decide is fine.
Well, I should be taking the winning, right? Shouldn't I be taking the winning, seeing as I'm the only one doing that lately? Ursi?
I wasn't going to dictate which.
I mean, I've been winning a lot of Dota 2 also. I will say that.
Well, it's been normal.
Of course,
it hasn't
my
been
old
ranked.
page, and I've lost the last 4 out of 5 games.
We wouldn't want to touch that ranked and not be 5K anymore, right? Okay, so how do you win Dota?
Well, I don't want to touch ranked when I'm not good at it. Okay, so
whoa, another admission. Okay, how do you win?
I mean, I'm sick, dude. I can't play Dota. I play at like 50%, dude. I was feeding his Tinker the other day. It was terrible. Anyway, so my 1 to 3 sentences for how to win Dota would be. Let's see. I don't know if I want to make them connected sentences or like bullet points, but we'll do bullet points.
Let's let you answer, then I'll answer on how to win, and then you answer on how to lose, and I'll answer on how to lose. Okay? Let's do like in every other.
Man, I want to use like a bunch of semicolons.
No semicolons.
Okay.
No semicolons.
Okay. Get items, kill heroes, push your advantages. Actually, you could probably shorten that to just get advantages and take advantage of the advantages you've gotten. Bam, easy.
Okay, so mine will be know what time it is, know what hero you are, and know what heroes you're against. And know the minimap. So let me shorten mine. Look at everything on your screen, know your hero, and know what you're up against.
Okay.
You know, time. You want to look at the time. You want to look at the minimap. You want to look at your gold. You want knowing where people are on the minimap. That was a big problem for me. Not looking at my minimap enough. If I'm now just, like 80% looking at my minimap, making sure that I'm safe. Like, and if somebody goes off my minimap, don't feel safe.
Oh, yeah.
And hey, that leads to a gank. So, all right, how do you lose?
I mean, that's good advice. You lose Dota. Let's see. You lose Dota in like 1 to 3 sentences by making silly decisions, following people that make silly decisions, and not thinking through previous silly decisions.
Okay, mine would be you drink a lot of booze, you fly to Seattle,
God.
and you 1v1 Roland mid. That would be how you lose in Dota for sure.
Your order was off.
Drink a lot of booze. Okay, go to Seattle, drink a lot of booze, and 1v1 Roland mid, not using your own peripherals, using someone else's computer, not having your controls set, and then forever branding yourself as losing to Roland. It's tough. So, Tuo, did we answer your question all right? Is there anything else you'd like us to fill in there?
Yeah, no, that was great. Thank you, guys. I think it's all about perspective, and clearly everybody has kind of a different approach to the game. So
what would
you.
yours be? Let's hear what you would have to say. What do you think that your 2 to 3 sentence on winning Dota is?
Yeah, I think you're right. Kind of in winning, it's kind of knowing your opponent, but also I'm a big proponent of pushing your advantages when you have them, and first of all, like being able to be aware of those advantages when you have them. And losing, I think it's if you don't identify a problem and you don't kind of react to it, because clearly not everything is going to go perfectly in a game. So if you can kind of identify those problems and react on them, if you don't react on them, you lose. That's probably too long, but yeah, you guys summarized it very well.
Yeah,
thank you.
Well, thank you, Tuo. You're a good friend, and I'm glad I got to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
And cheers to a long, you're like a friendship that lasts forever. If you want my address, and a plane ticket to come out here and drink a beer.
This feels like Proudland.
I'd be happy to. That'd be great. I'd be proud to meet you guys.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll support you in game soon. No problem.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sounds good, man. And then you'll be like, why is this guy buying 8 tangos? All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Later, guys.
Okay. Ursi, obviously when I first met you and you were somewhere around like 42, I'd say. You were 4K. You were like a 4K player, but you were probably a little bit above 4K. I always wanted to know,
I think
like,
it was low 4Ks.
Yeah. I always wanted to know like the ultimate question. And the ultimate question was always, how do I win at Dota? And you could never provide that for me. No one could. And it just was so infuriating, because in StarCraft, it was a lot easier to be like, oh, you want to know how to win a lot? Cannon Rush.
Yeah, 6 pool.
Oh, you want to know how to... 6 pool, 10 pool, 4 gate, a bunch of different things. And with Dota, it's like, you can't just be like, pick Chaos Knight, go Armlet, and you'll win every game. It doesn't translate. So... I think that's cool to be able to.
If only it were that easy.
If only, Lately, it feels like just picking Lich and you win, so long as you sacrifice and get bounty runes and
He's a good hero.
He's a fucking good hero. Anyway, I mean, I could gush all over that old ass Lich, because Liches are old. They're like generally 3,000 years old. So our next question is coming from Lee or Goad. He is a 2625. Don't want to sell him a short. Lee, what is your question?
How you doing, guys? Congratulations on the baby, Roland.
Oh, hey, thank you.
My question is, where do you see the game going with regards to game length? I know it's quicker to level up now and there's more gold on the map, but so far my games have been much longer than the previous patches.
Good question.
That is a
Bless.
good question.
This has been something on my
I know.
mind.
Me too.
Definitely. I've sent many a tweet out about it. Actually, that was a really good conversation. Anybody that was involved in that one. I think my initial reaction, which I think I may have said this during the patch review, if anybody made it through all 7 hours, my initial reaction was that I like long games. And I know this is a very divisive opinion, especially Roland, you spurred me to have this conversation on Twitter. Because I like long games, and I want game length to be long. So when the patch hit, and it was all aggressive, and everybody was like, "Oh, average game length's going down," I was so concerned because I shouldn't say I hate short games, but I don't like short games.
Okay.
And so initially, that's what I thought. I thought it was going to be shorter because games are more aggressive and you level faster. But I have had a good deal of long games, so I feel like kind of now all my games have either been really short, like 30 minutes, or really long, like an hour plus. And I don't know if that's as good for the game as having an average game length of 45 minutes or 40 minutes was, if that makes sense.
You don't think it's good for the game length to be shorter?
No, I dislike it.
Is there
I don't
like
know if it's
one
good for the
big
game,
reason?
but it's not good for me.
It's not good for you. But as far as getting through a tournament, don't you think it'd be great if, like, say game length all of a sudden, average game length went down to 25 minutes, and I could go through a whole series in almost an hour. A little over an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, I could go through a whole series, EG versus VP. I could have watched that in an hour and 15 minutes. Opposed to...
I would not watch Pro Dota.
Really?
Ever.
Why?
Yeah,
What's the big deal there?
So, the crux of my argument that I like long games and dislike short games, the game is, while it's balanced around the pro scene, I don't think that should be the priority, right? The priority is the average player's experience, not the pro's experience, and not the pro scene. The pro scene is great, obviously, for balancing for a whole slew of other things. But, there are such a small percent that they don't actually make the money for Valve, right? Valve makes money off selling hats to you and I, the schmucks that'll pay hundreds of dollars for cosmetics.
Do you have
right?
Monkey King? Do you have Monkey King Arcana?
No, I'm not gonna play that hero. God,
I bought it. I played it once, and I bought the Arcana like for the game that I was about to play.
I almost bought the Arcana. I kind of buy things just out of like solidarity with the game. Like I just love the game so much that I just kind of buy things.
Yeah.
Because it's like I have thousands of hours. Like yeah, sure, I'll give you $20 every once in a while. But I'm glad I didn't buy it because God, that hero is just so overpowered. I can't excuse it.
Is he a hard carry?
But no. Well, I mean, he can carry a game.
He's a carry, but is he a hard carry? Is he a Sven? Is he a Medusa? Is he a Luna?
I mean, not all hard carries fit that archetype of hard carry, right? Like you have hard carries that are sieging,
item
like
hard carries. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but
I keep just walking up. What? I'm walking all over you. Don't let me do it then.
That's right. Your audio is like a couple seconds off for me, I think.
Weird.
But there are like fighting hard carries and there's sieging hard carries, and those are two very different archetypes. So I don't. It's kind of like when we were talking about earlier, like we shouldn't pigeonhole like all strength heroes are X, all agi heroes are Y. Like not all hard carries are just hard carries, right? They have different qualities that makes them hard carries. So Monkey King is that kind of fighting carry. He is a mid though, like by role. Like his mid is by far his strongest position. Like he wins every single matchup. He isn't punished super hard. If he gets ganked, he has easy outs. Like he can double kill easily. Like mid is his position, and the win rates show that by far.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't. He's not like he can carry a game easily, but that's such a like kind of vague term. Like he's a hard carry. Like
we're going off on a tangent here. So game length, game length, more gold on the map. Do you think there is more gold, or do you think the bounty runes are just compensating for the fact that camps aren't spawning every minute? Or
there's more gold on the map.
Well, I guess yeah. I mean, obviously there is more gold on the map.
And also the biggest thing that I've noticed regarding gold is that gold bounties have changed for killing heroes. So you're gonna get way more gold off of the map in the sense that like if you kill their 6-slotted Slark at 50 minutes, you're gonna get way more gold than you would have previously, because of the new math basically behind gold bounties. So like for instance, the other day I was playing Legion and I died with like not even a Beyond Godlike. Actually, maybe I was Beyond Godlike. But I died because I did a stupid thing and I dove real far because I was having fun. And I fed 1,500 gold at like 25 minutes. Whereas in the previous patch, it might have only been like 900 gold. right? So there's more gold in that sense, and I feel like there's just more gold in general.
More jungle camps, more ancients, more bounties. Okay. Well.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we like tangentialized a bit much, but I think to get back to the core about game length is that I like long games because all my actions feel more impactful, and the game is more like I'm more invested in the game if I've spent 45 minutes than if I've spent 20. Right? At a very basic level, like it's all about investment, and it's like the game, every decision feels huge and like heavy.
Opposed to a 25-minute game, one mistake would probably call the game if it were like a 25-minute game. Opposed to,
it's
but
just
wouldn't
like,
that make wouldn't it make it Dota a little more perfect if one mistake meant the game was thrown? Wouldn't we see? No, no. I don't know. I'd like to see game lengths go down.
I mean, I think people have raised a very valid argument that this is the difference between like me. I'm a college student that like doesn't have a kid, and like I have a job and like we do this and all that, but like I have the time to commit. And some people will say that. Personally, I don't necessarily agree with that argument, but I think it's just like I would rather sit down and have a game where I know it's gonna take a while, and I know like it's gonna be. I'm going to get really invested, and even if I'm playing a poor support, or if I'm playing like a super farm carry, like it gets that really tense stage, and there's all the suspense building up, and like you finally have that release at the end of the game, and it's super exciting. Even if you lose, then like I always say, like all Dota players must be masochists, and you get that like even if you lose, it's like, oh my god, like I can't believe we lost, and it's all emotional. And like I love that kind of stuff.
And I guess if you're invested in a 50-minute game, it's a lot a bigger kick in the pants than like a 25-minute game. Losing in StarCraft, I mean, when they were doing best of 9s for finals, it was like, okay, I need to prepare for the next game. I mean, that was a 15-minute long game. So I understand that there's like a fine line. Is League long? Or short?
Well, League, you can surrender it to like 20 minutes.
Oh, they have a surrender.
League games are shorter.
Yeah, I don't like
in a large part because of the surrender option, and like the game just structurally is shorter. Yeah, but like
without
you could
TPs,
just surrender,
though.
So game length is lower.
I want to hear Lee's opinion on this. Lee, what do you think about game length? I mean, you got us kind of tangentializing. What do you think?
Yeah, to be fair, I think I would make the game slightly shorter. Obviously, we get to the big plays. I just feel you'd get to them a bit quicker. Now, if everything was made so the game's finished early, you'd probably get to those highs and flashpoints quicker. Let's say watching some of the pro games, it's hard to watch when they're like an hour. To watch like a couple of series is like a full day. I totally get where you're coming from. It's the emotional investment. I mean, I come from like competitive Halo, and that's 15 minutes, but you still get worked up in that. So, but I get where you're coming from. No, it's even worse when you spend 50 minutes out of your life and you're getting killed in fountain. It's terrible.
Oh, it is a terrible feeling.
We've all been there. But I don't know. I think you would get to the flashpoints and the flashy plays, and decisions would be worth more if the games are shorter. You'd get there quicker, and therefore that would make speed things up, and you get to the exciting bits quickly as opposed to 56 minutes in.
Yeah, I've seen that in the 7.0, to be fair. Like, I think this is kind of why my original doubt of the patch has been dispelled, is that I've had plenty of games where exactly like Lee said, we're getting to those like super late game, like, we just lost a fight, so we lost to Rax, but it's at 35 minutes instead of 45. And so I maybe I'm wrong, but I think whenever I think of short game length, it makes me think of like snowball push strats. And that's just not fun Dota. That's like, okay, we lost a team fight. They have a death prophet. She didn't have to ult in the team fight, so she ulted on our base, and now we don't have 2 Raxes, and now the game is just over.
Yeah, cooldowns would probably have to adjust. Cooldowns would probably have to adjust if the game length went way shorter. Lee, thank you so much for your question. It's been great. Sorry, did you have something else to say?
No, I was just saying that the map is it's been built around making the games a bit shorter, where there's more places to fight. It's all fighting at the moment anyway, until the meta settles down. So I think the games will shorten that way, but then with the nobody's ever dead shortened cooldowns, it'll be interesting. I hope it settles down. But thanks very much, guys. Great show.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree. More gold, more experience, more items. Hard to lose when you're an item ahead. Taking that from Aoi. I think we will see it shortened. I don't think we'll see it shortened dramatically, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we might just see more variance because now, like with all the level 25 talents, that is like an added level of the games can go longer because of them, but they can also be shorter because of them, if that makes sense. Like depending on the heroes. So, I mean, we'll see how it pans out. It is like super volatile right now because it is only the first couple weeks, right? So
for sure,
we shall see.
All right, our next caller is Chaos. His MMR is 3402, and he has a question in regards to the skill tree. Chaos, what's your question?
Hey, I've kind of got a two-part question, actually. So I'll go through the first part, and then we'll talk about that, and then I'll kind of go into a bit more detail about it. But how have these new talents impacted support play? And I'm asking specifically about how supports now can gain significant gold or XP or damage increases as they hit their different talents. How's this shifted the way that we play supports and approach supporting in Dota?
Ursi?
All right. I mean, Roland, you're the ones that's been supporting recently.
Okay.
I
play Lich and I play Tree. So here's the two big things that I think are extremely overpowered about Lich and Tree. One on each of them. Lich, movement speed is king, in my opinion. Especially when you have Windlace, you have Tranquils, and then all of a sudden you have a plus 15 movement speed. I'm moving something like 440. Which makes it really easy to snipe their bounty rune, grab my bounty rune, TP to another bounty rune, grab that. Makes it easy to ward, makes it easy to do all those things. Then when you get up into the other skill trees, the plus 150 damage, only take that if you're like winning, in my opinion, and you're winning hard. Otherwise, you take the alternative option, which, I don't know, is something else. I think it's like a cooldown. I'm not sure what the other one is. With Treant, though, I feel like there's definitely something that needs to be either taken out of the game or stacking diminishingly, which is his minus 15% cooldown reduction. If I have an Aghanim Scepter and I get that minus 15% cooldown reduction, and it's a level 20 thing, which getting to level 20, as you know, Ursi, is not hard. And then I pick up an Octarine Core, that means I'm cooling down 40% faster, which I can put Leaves in the Forest and I can ult 40%, like so much more often. And honestly, it feels a little bit overpowered. I will say that Tree, I don't think his coming out of Invis bash thing is, I mean, say what you will about it, I don't think it's super overpowered, and you can always position yourself in such a way that you're not right next to a tree, or that maybe vision becomes a little bit more important. But the cooldown and the ease of getting gold, the ease of getting ags, I mean, I can still play a position 5 tree and count on getting an Aghanim Scepter, and by level 20, count on getting a shit ton of gold. And with the Invis moving around, it makes putting Leaves in the Forest, or whatever that ability is called, a lot easier. Those are, and then Venge as well, the plus 100 damage and allowing Magic Missile to pierce spell immunity, that is insane. I mean, that changed the game drastically. All of a sudden, I can nuke you with a magic missile when you are magic immune for 100 more damage than I could, even if you didn't have that BKB on. So, based on those three support heroes that I play, I mean, drastically changed the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think without getting like I think Roland brings up some important anecdotes, but overall, the idea behind, or the general theme behind all the support talents is just that it gives them options to scale. And it gives them, especially, like, there's obvious options in regards to, like, the plus GPM or plus XP talents. And a lot of the talents, if you look at it, compensate directly for weaknesses of the heroes. So heroes that are squishy often have plus health talents, like CM, or heroes that really need gold, like AA, have plus GPM talents. So Ice Rock clearly took that into his thought process, and balanced, kind of like we were talking about before. He balanced the heroes not by changing their stats or anything, or changing items. He changed the talents at 10, 15, 20, 25, right? So that gives him a way to make these heroes that may have had weaknesses before be able to compensate for those weaknesses, even in a losing game.
For sure.
So that's an important bit. I think the talents, I mean, they allow transition from support into core roles in some cases. In other cases, it just solidifies the support in like a strong support role, or it enables them to get the item that they're looking for, or get the health that they need that they don't necessarily build into, or it gets them move speed that they need, whatever. So I think talents, especially for supports, are really important. The jury's still out on all those talents that are like minus revive time.
Yeah.
I've seen it be really good in some games, and I've seen it be pretty worthless in other games. So
I know Dazzle has it. It does remain to be seen.
A lot of supports have it.
So Chaos,
very few cores have it.
Yeah, that's true. Which is for the better. Chaos, you said you had a 2-parter. Is that one of the parts?
Yeah.
Is there a second part?
It's actually, I think it's great that Ursinity just went into that, because that was getting into the second part. So I was going to ask a bit about how, these support talents might allow it to be easier for supports to theoretically transition into core roles, or more core roles than they're usually in. But since you addressed that, I'll go on to the sort of flip side of that. What do we think about talents on cores that there's several cores who have talents that seem very support heavy? For example, increasing the disable on Slark's leash, or allowing Gyrocopter to fire off 3 missiles at once.
Yeah, I mean, I think specifically with the gyro one, that's definitely a support gyro thing. And I cringe just saying that on the show, because support Gyrocopter is maybe the most obnoxious, cancerous thing I've ever had the displeasure of playing against. And
what does he just
that's saying something.
What does he do? WE?
You just max missile, and you sit in mid lane, and you throw missiles at the enemy, and unless they're a puck, it doesn't
or a Storm Spirit or something like that. Which is, I guess, harder to do, but yeah.
Yeah, it's harder. It is truly maybe the most annoying thing I've ever played against, and that's saying something, because I'm annoyed frequently. But I think like core roles, like there are certain cores that I think Ice Frog has been either giving them alternative paths, kind of like Ember. We see this spell damage build that you can do with his talents, where all the cores have 2 clear trees, right? They have like CK, for instance. He has a clear tree to go down if you're playing support CK or offlane CK. And then he has a clear tree to go down if you're playing a carry CK. Yeah. Whereas before, it was less obvious that you could do those things. So he's kind of incentivizing and compensating again for the weaknesses of the base of the hero if they are statistically tuned to be a carry, but they can be played as a support. He's kind of making it a little more acceptable for you to play that as a support. But in general, I think the carry talents are a lot more like level 25 heavy, if that makes sense, because they're going to naturally get that faster than the supports, their support alternatives, right? So we look at supports, a lot of them have level 20 talents that are really important.
It's usually level 20, the really big impactful ones, but Vengeful has the 25, which is the Pierce of Spell immunity, but her level 20 is the plus 100 damage to magic missile, which I feel is huge.
Yeah, it depends on the hero.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but in general, right, you have these really high value level 25 talents on carries, and it varies from hero to hero. Like some are not that important, like Slarks are kind of whatever. Like sometimes 3 pound leash is nice, other times 12 all stats, whatever. But then you have some that are really big, like for instance, like Mirana, she shoots 3 arrows, and sometimes you'll like arrow 3 people or something. And that's not even the best example.
I think the tree level 20 minus 15% cooldown reduction is the biggest one that I've seen, that I've noticed. I mean, especially if you have an Aghanim Scepter.
Of the 20s?
Of the 20s.
I would say the Lich plus 200 damage, or plus 150 or whatever.
But, I mean, it's such a niche pickup in my opinion. I don't think you go that skill every game.
I think...
I wish I knew the alternative, because there's a pretty good alternative to that one as well.
It's 120 GPM.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the GPM can lead you to maybe an Aghanim Scepter that you otherwise wouldn't have had, because I'm playing hard 5 Lich, where I'm buying sentries and dust and gem for whoever needs it. It's tough. I like the gold, honestly, over if it's a contested game, gold. If I'm losing, gold. If we're winning hard, I'm gonna giggle as I do 150 more damage. Is basically the way I look at that.
I respect that you're doing it like the smart way, but I will say carry Lich is crazy good, and for a very long time, especially in Dota 1, that was the way to play him. So us like veteran players may have that, like, may want to do that. Yeah, Mask of Madness, Armlet Lich was so good, but now, like, all right, so what we're theorizing and what we've actually been playing as a team in some team practices is a like off-lane Lich, usually has like a 4, so you off-lane dual lane with a Lich, and you play it pretty greedy. He wins your lanes for you, and then he gets a ton of XP, and then you start like you build like for mid game, you build these like items like ags that give you a lot of team fight. But then once you're nearing level 20, you start transitioning into like carry items. So you want to build like attack speed, and you already have stats from like the ags and whatever. And then he transitions into being like a serious right-clicking core. And then once you have your level 25 talent, he's even more of a right-clicking core. And it's a nice like way to supplement damage your team may be lacking. So I wouldn't count it out.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
That's good to know. Chaos, thank you so much for coming on, and great questions.
Hey, thank you very much. And actually, could I ask just one very last thing tied onto that? Do you think that these talents are actually, in the long term, are they really going to improve the fluidity between roles? Are we going to see these support to core transitions, or do you think it's about as rigid as before?
I think it depends on the hero. I think some heroes, this is kind of one of my chief complaints about talents, but some heroes are going to have talents that, or some heroes are going to see in the game, like especially in pro game, for instance, it's like, oh, they drafted Lich, which means at like, whatever it is, 40 minutes where he may be hitting level 20, they had that option of transition, and that's like something that has to be taken into like draft math, basically. Whereas if they pick a support that has a tree that's very like linear support tree, then you don't have to worry about that option, right? So it's going to vary from hero to hero, but that is like an interesting element that it adds.
It does. It gives you options,
sure.
It gives you outs. Chaos, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So yeah, no, that is interesting because, I mean, there was a game where I was playing Tree and the team basically concluded, okay, you need to build an Ags as soon as you can because we don't need you as a 5 tree now. We need you as more of a 4 tree. So hurry and get your Ags because we need you to do something a little bit more. All right, moving on to our next one. We have Darkstar. He's a 2044 MMR player, and he has a question about heroes. Darkstar, what's your question?
Hi, my question was what are like the most meta heroes in each lane so far this patch?
What are the most meta heroes, Ursi?
That's a good question. I will say mid lane, I haven't seen that many changes. I think like Monkey King obviously is very meta for a variety of reasons, both in that it's fun to play the new hero and he's actually really good. I would say like the metagame has not developed so much to have like rigid. And also it's balanced enough that we don't have rigid like, okay, mid lane is always one of these 4 heroes, off lane is always one of these 4 heroes. I will say the biggest meta shifts I would say are shifts away from certain heroes, like stacking heroes especially, and illusion-based heroes. So we're seeing like Alchemist, his win rate has dropped off a ton. We rarely see him succeed anymore. I rarely see him at all anymore. Sven also, like the new build is very different, but his win rate has dropped off drastically. We're seeing less of him. But in general, I'm seeing a lot of like similar heroes, but I think that's in at least decent part because of all of the because the patch is so new. So people are just doing what's comfortable with them. And again, like the balance is close enough that you can kind of do what you want.
I would also say that, obviously Monkey King is meta so far. You see him in every game. I feel like you see Tree in nearly every single game. I feel like Slark is still extremely popular. Lich, extremely popular. I feel like you're seeing supports shifting into meta more than you're seeing maybe cores shifting into meta. I see a wide variety of cores, but I see a smaller variety of supports. Basically, I can count on a Tree in every single game, whether it's on my team, banned, or on their team. So I would say meta, I think, shifting more towards support because they can transition, maybe tying back to Chaos.
If there's any like meta game that I would really comment on, I'd say the meta is shifting towards it was already an aggressive meta, but it's definitely shifting in the direction of an aggressive meta regarding supports and cores similarly. Like we're not seeing these super hard farming like Radiance Naga cores. We're seeing these like aggressive cores. And similarly with supports, we're seeing more like things like Spirit Breaker and Treant and these cores that can be aggressive and move around the map, and Lich that can win you your lanes and deny XP from the enemy, but also take advantage of all the gold on the map and all the XP on the map now.
Yeah, exactly. Darkstar, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you. All right, so yeah, I mean, meta, I think it's too soon to tell. I think we're going to see some weird things. Yesterday I was saying that Monkey King could be position 4, and then Isaac linked me a video of Zai playing position 4 Monkey King, and it was actually really awesome.
Isaac's dope, by the way.
Yeah, he is.
He has great hair. I'm very jealous. I saw him at the meetup. That's why I say that, not just randomly saying that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I've ever met him in real life, but I definitely he's wrote in before, and we've definitely known him for a while. So he seems like a super cool guy, and he linked this video of Zai just playing this awesome position for Monkey King, taking advantage of the ult to take objectives, and then moving around in the trees to get good wards down. And honestly, good, like, Monkey King is a ward, you know what I mean, himself. So I don't know, I thought it was a cool way to look at it. Anyway, our last and final question for Tuesday Q&A comes from Backwards. His MMR is 1500. His name is just Backwards. MMR is 1500, and he wants to know a question specific to all the heroes. Backwards, how's it going? What's your question?
Hi. My question was, what is the best talent over all heroes, and what is like the worst talent tree over all heroes?
So the best single talent on a hero and the worst talent tree.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Okay, I already. Okay,
all right.
I know the worst talent tree.
I'm gonna say mine. People already probably know my answer. Lena, her talent tree is garbage.
I wanted to.
Okay,
Medusa, dude.
But
Medusa's level 25 is garbage. What?
Okay, but like her 20 is so good.
What is her 20? What is her 20?
It's plus 500 mana, dude. That's 1250 EHP.
Okay. Who else is garbage?
Oh my god. We had a very drawn out argument on our patch notes review between Proud and everybody else about the value of 15 Agi versus 1250 EHP. God, that guy.
15 Agi is a lot. Okay. So what's the best ability in the game?
This is one where I like.
I know that this one's easy.
I really would have to do.
Are you kidding me?
Is it easy?
Yeah. It's how you got to 5K.
Puck's level 25. Rubik?
Yeah, Rubik spell steal. That is the best ability in the game because it's every ability. Fucking duh.
What are you talking about? The spell amp?
No, I'm talking about spell steal. That is the best ability in the game.
It's about talent.
The best talent. Oh, well, level 23 for sure. 15% cooldown reduction.
Really? There's so many other heroes with like CDR. Or it might be, alright, so my official answer is Puck's level 25, 75% faster orb and 75% longer. The other close one would be level 25 Legion. Plus 45, or what is it? Plus
40 dual damage. Plus 40 dual damage, yeah.
I had 400 dual damage in a game, and then we lost, but I still got that far. It was dope.
Yeah, when you were fighting people, I'm sure you could just take them out quickly. Okay, well, level 25. I don't know. I don't know. I love Venge. Been playing a lot of Venge. I think that the fact that I can stun somebody through BKB and still do an extra 100 damage is insane. And it's basically, what is it, like a 3-second stun? So it's basically like 33% of a max BKB that they're stunned for, supposing I get it off right away. So I think that is one of the better ones. And And already Swap pierces spell immunity, so now she has 2 incredible abilities for displacing and stopping a hero with spell immunity. So as a support, that's insane, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Backwards, hey, thank you so much for your question. What do you think? What's your biggest on skill tree, level 25? Yeah, for sure. Me too.
Same.
Yeah, none of them. All right, well, that will conclude our first Tuesday Q&A with live questions. Of course, you can always find us at defenseofthepatients@gmail.com. You can go to YouTube and see Theorycraft Thursday's games at Defense of the Patient. Oh, what is that? DotP TV1? You're better at this, RC.
DotP TV1.
Can you just do this one, dude? I'm bad at this. Twitch.tv/.
Twitch.tv/DotPTV, website defenseofthepatients.com. We have an Amazon banner there. You can click through that. Costs you nothing extra. It gives us a little money. Twitter, I'm at Ursinity. Roland is at DotP_show because he doesn't use his personal account. It's very charitable for the sake of the show, honestly. Less Twitters, the better. Email us, defenseofthepatients@gmail.com. Patreon, patreon.com/Defense of the Patience. Go there, check it out. You can commission your own podcast if you'd like from us. You can get replay reviews from us, especially with 7.0 coming right around. I shouldn't say around the corner. It's here. We're on the street of 7.0. Reddit r/Defense of the Patience with Gucci. iTunes reviews help us out as well. Tell a friend. We already told all ours.
Yep. Of course, how to get on this show, go to discord.gg/.p if you want to be on the next show. This is going to be happening on Mondays, somewhere around 7 p.m. Eastern. You assemble in a room, and you'll get your question answered, most likely. So make sure you come prepared with some good questions, and we'd love to have Ursinity, the expert, answer all these as he steals your great ideas and implements them into his play. Ursi, are we missing anything else?
God. No, this Rubik thing, you're really taking this a bit far, buddy. I don't think people are going to enjoy it as much as you are.
Aren't I?
Yeah. I mean, I played a lot of Rubik, but I didn't play like not even 50% of my games were Rubik.
Yeah, I saw some Juggernaut in there.
I'm into it. I like Rubik.
You had Juggernaut. I think Juggernaut was your 5K game, wasn't it? Didn't Juggernaut take you to 5K?
I played support to like 4,800, and then suddenly people were just like not picking cores, so I started picking cores, and then that's how I got to like 5K.
Hey, good.
Because I'm a versatile player.
I do agree. I do agree that you are a versatile player.
We'll see if that continues when I start climbing to 6.
I hope you do start climbing to 6, because I guarantee I'm 5K before you're 6K. I guarantee it. So.
Oh man, there's no way. No way.
Really?
No way.
I'll say it right here on the show. By June, I'll be a 5K player. By June.
I mean, you feel free to try, my friend.
Oh well, try. It's going to be succeed.
You're gonna.
You don't believe that I could be a 5K player
by June?
Oh, I'll hit 4K. I'm going to hit 4K before February.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. I'm not going to talk about that, but I will say there's no way you're going to hit 5K before June. I will happily...
Can we place a bet? I mean, we're live on air. Because I would bet is a motivation for me, for sure.
I don't have a good bet in mind.
How about $5,000 that I get to 5,000 MMR by June?
There's a 0% chance I'm going to have $5,000 by June to bet, unless I don't want to go to college anymore.
Yeah, just skip a semester.
So
just skip a semester, just in case.
I am skipping a semester already.
We'll just see. We'll see.
I'm not going to bet that.
And I'm going to come back to this specific episode, and be like,
I will say,
told you, and it'll be in May that it's like finally rolling.
The climb from
5K.
4K to 5K is much more difficult than 3K to 4K. I will say that. Having done both, well, actually, I really didn't climb from 3 to 4K. I would calibrate at like 36. But anyway.
Yeah, you were grandfathered in.
I wasn't grandfathered in.
It's okay that you're grandfathered into a higher MMR, and now we use that to lord it over the DotP.
I guess I kind of was.
Yeah, grandfathered. Yeah, it's okay though. We all have to work really hard, and you can just sit there on your 5K laurels. You know what I mean?
My pedals pretty nice. I can live on here for a while.
Anyway, this is Roland for Ursinity and everybody who asked questions, and I hope that we got your answers right. Jesus, that was a bad closing. Do you have anything better?